So this is part two of tonight's trade review, and we are going to be reviewing my futures trading now. So as you guys know, I trade options for the first hour, and then I start futures. Well, today was rough psychologically for me. Um, as you guys know, I'm pretty dang good at TA. I'm able to predict what is going to happen, a fairly high probability, a percentage of the time. I know what's fairly probable and not. And one of my biggest pet peeves is missing trades that I know I'm supposed to enter because I know how the butterfly effect works. And if I miss two really good trades, well, statistically speaking, red trade is kind of coming down the pipe. Of course, that is kind of gambler's fallacy, and maybe that concern and that fear does alter my perception of information in a way that I create the very experience that I don't want to experience. Um, but missing trades is my biggest pet peeve, right? Especially when I don't call out that trade in voice, so no one made money on it. It was just a waste of my thinking. Well, one problem with the YouTube stuff now, and it's hurting. I noticed that since I started trading live on YouTube as well, I haven't been as good of a trader. My psychology has been a lot more fragile, and one of the reasons why is because for me, for example, when I'm trading by myself, I can get smoked 6 times in a row and I don't care. Right? If I'm trading by myself and I lose 6 trades in a row, don't care. On to the next one, or I'm done for the day. That's it. But when I'm live trading with you guys, it used to be like this quite a bit. If I take a couple losses in a row and price action isn't doing things that I want it to do, I'm still entering the next trade as I'm supposed to be confirmed in, but I'm extremely hesitant to alert it to you guys because psychologically I'm okay taking a loss, but for some reason I'm not as okay with all of you guys taking a loss as well. Of course, most of you guys know how to trade yourselves. You're not just blindly following me like sheep, like a baby that's hungry for food. Um, but that used to kind of be an issue. But over the kind of the most of this year, through the mentorship and whatnot, you guys have really obtained the same mindset that I have. So now for me, something way more shameful than losing is breaking my rules in front of you guys. I would rather have 10 red days than break rules in front of you guys because really that's what matters, right? You guys are kind of trained to not chase money, but obsess over what you're reinforcing and obsess over the self growth that profitable trading requires, right? It's not as big of a deal, but since I started YouTube, um, it kind of started up again because a bunch of people that don't know me, that don't really understand trading, that bitch about losing or taking a red trade that I called out or whatever. Um, do I think about it? No, but definitely subconsciously, if I notice, like I look at my journal, if I lose just like twice in a row, I feel pretty hesitant to alert the next one, right? And I'm sure you guys can probably get what I'm kind of understand where I'm coming from. But very rarely do I not alert anyways, right? But I find myself, like for example, like last week, when I think this happened once last week. I think it happened on Tuesday or Monday. Once last week, I entered a trade, and pretty much right when I entered it, it kind of looked like shit. Or maybe I didn't enter it out of the best psychology. So if I'm not willing to alert the trade immediately, that means my psychology is flawed, right? Either I'm worried about you guys too much, or I'm taking a trade that I'm not supposed to be taking. Not that the hypothesis is bad or it's a terrible trade, but I'm not taking an optimal enough trade to be worth alerting, so I shouldn't be in that trade. Regardless of what the reason is, I'm hesitant to alert it. I enter the trade, and if it immediately starts going against me, I'm not going to call it out because I know it's probably going to stop out. I'll save you guys the loss, right? Well, I find that if I do take a loss behind the scenes, now all of a sudden I feel the need to make back that money so I get back to the point that you all see. Like get back to the point I'm supposed to be. If I'm supposed to be 3-0 on the day or 3-2 on the day, or I should, or really, I'm up by 2 trades on the day and I'm only up by one, I feel a huge urge to get back to being up 2 trades on the day so that I can match what I say we've done. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, that's trading for money. And then you get more psychological deterioration. Now, what I've started doing as of recently that's been helping a little bit is if I feel hesitant to alert or I hop into a trade that I don't really like, I'll call out that I hop into it, but I'll say, I wouldn't follow this until this does this. And that way, if that trade goes against me, it's not like a secret loss, like I'm hiding in my closet, but a lot of you guys avoided the loss as well. But regardless, the YouTube and the longer live trading, it's definitely tough on my psychology, and I feel myself needing to grow in that field because, yeah, I'm completely detached from my outcomes when I trade by myself. But when I'm live trading, especially, I've noticed it, especially on YouTube as well, with a bunch of people that I don't know, um, it definitely weighs on my psychology because obviously I want you guys to do well. I want you guys to make money, and that extra attachment to my outcomes kind of opens the door to psychological deterioration, and that hesitancy kind of starts. Type in chat if you guys know what I mean. It's not as super related to today, um, but that kind of happens, and that's my biggest psychological issue right now that I'm working on. I don't really know because I am a phenomenal futures trader when I'm trading by myself, but the hesitancy to alert thing, like that's kind of opening a door to psychological deterioration that's usually never open. And it's really a new skill set that I need to build because I notice it's not happening all the time, but I'd say at least every other day, I feel hesitant to alert one or more trades. Um, it's definitely something that I need to improve because it's kind of hindering my psychology a little bit. So that's going on as well, and I see it in my journal. Like I can't not talk about it because it's all over my journal. At least a couple times a week. But this session was particularly rough because not only did I experience that, but my OBS was having issues. So back to what I said about my pet peeve on missing out on trades, right? If I know something is extremely likely to happen, and for some reason I'm not able to get in. For example, today, when and just lately, I'm trading futures for the first hour, and if I use that entire hour, which I like to because I like making money on my options portfolio. Ideally, most days I do. Um, I feel very rushed to get into stage with you guys. I feel very rushed to get into stage with you guys. Um, I feel very rushed to get my screen share going, get YouTube fired up, get OBS fired up, make sure the cropping is right, fix the stream delay if there is a stream delay or whatever it is, and then go live on YouTube. Then I gotta announce to you guys that I'm live in the stage and ping everyone and start the event. And then I gotta take the link from the YouTube and send it in the announcement channel. And then I gotta send it in my options alert channel. Then I can trade, right? You guys see how it's kind of a pain in the ass? Well, and this isn't the first time it's happened. But sometimes when the start of the second hour happens, and typically, guys, the second hour has been a terrible time to trade. But today was a little bit different because this is where we're starting right now. The second hour started roughly here. Look where the market's going. It's moving. This is what we want, right? I mean, if I jump to the 15-minute chart, I have some solid pivots here. I have this one here on the on ES. I have this one here. I definitely think why is there? Okay, my green zones are too bright. This is hurting. Let me fix this real quick, guys. There we go. It's a little better. 15-minute chart on NQ. I mean, I have some more solid pivots. I got this one all the way down here. It's nowhere near there right now, but I mean, I have solid pivots. We're moving a good amount. I mean, it looks like I'm going to be able to get into trades during the second hour. So when I know that's happening, I'm very rushed to get into futures. And on top of all the things that I said I have to do, I gotta close out my thinkorswim so I'm not tempted to trade options more. I gotta log into Trade Evade. I gotta make sure I'm group trading the accounts correctly. I got to make sure I'm using the correct size, and then I got to open up my journal, and then I got to fill out my journal, write the date, the accounts that I'm trading, my rules, my goal, the amount of trades I'm taking, and then after all that stuff, then I can start trading. Well, today in specific, my OBS wasn't working correctly. It was a black screen, couldn't figure it out, and I didn't end up finally getting done with OBS until, wait for it, I didn't get done until with OBS until after this candle. But you guys know I have a bunch of screens going. So I see the chart as I'm rushing to fix my OBS, get the YouTube stream up, get in voice, blah blah blah, do everything I'm supposed to do. This is a trade I'm supposed to be entering. This is a beautiful NQ short. It looks like it may be weaker than ES. I have a solid pivot below on ES. This is a solid risk to award. Demand would be my PT here. Look how big that PT is. Like that's for one mini, that's a $700 per mini trade. That's huge for me at least. You know, my average winning trade is probably 100 ticks, not 150. But because I'm messing with the OBS and stuff and whatever, I missed out on this trade. And I couldn't enter here. I wasn't even done here. It was by this point that I finally got live on YouTube. I wasn't even the Discord stage yet. I didn't even announce the Discord stage yet. Hell, I didn't even open my Trade-Evade yet. And we're almost 10 minutes after where I'm supposed to be trading. So not only was this a missed out hypothesis, but this was extra frustrating for me because I don't get paid for YouTube. Like I don't get paid anything. I don't make any money. Hell, I haven't even promoted a masterclass on YouTube yet. I mean, I was supposed to, but I've been too lazy. I'm literally just doing it, I feel, out of the kindness of my heart. And when something like that causes me to miss out a bunch of money, obviously that's frustrating. This hurt my psychology a bunch. So by this point, when it finally got to demand, obviously I was frustrated that I missed it. And I finally got the stream up, and my Trade-Evade wasn't even open yet, so I got the stream up on YouTube. Announced it. We started bouncing on ES. I wasn't even in the Discord stage yet by the time this was happening. Like I was rushing. But when I was about to announce that I'm in the Discord stage and hop in there and start the screenshot, I'm like, I'm not missing another trade. So I alerted it to the YouTube stream, but I was fairly quiet. Like I didn't even have time to draw it on my chart. Like it was a freaking rush this morning, guys, for the whole 12 minutes. I entered ES shorts here. PT was this demand break. Here. Exact same trade I took on NQ, except this was way weaker. I finally got to Discord and live on stage just after the close of this candle, and then I had to fill out my journal. Okay. I'll keep this here. This was supposed to be done. It wasn't. And by then the PT was already hit. So I'm happy that I'm starting today pretty green. But I'm not happy at all because I missed out on today should be a very bright green day off the start. I should have two massive trades from the start, but now I'm getting out of this one. I'm barely finishing up my journal. Everyone on Discord missed this trade, and I'm just pretty frustrated, right? It's just a bunch of BS that I had to deal with, especially with YouTube and whatnot. I didn't want to go live on YouTube, but I said screw it, and I'll fix it, and it costed me not only money on that trade, but it ended up costing me my psychology. And the domino kind of started now. So this was one trade that I missed. I'm going to draw an arrow here. Every green arrow, every yellow arrow is a trade that I missed. That I was supposed to enter and I missed. That was the first one. And we end up bouncing off that pivot on ES. I said I was still kind of bearish for a new low of day on the NASDAQ, but I did not get out of it. Or sorry, I was still bearish for a new low of day on the NASDAQ, but I wasn't in anything yet. ES was bouncing, was still fairly bearish on NQ for new low of day. I couldn't get in on this one. I couldn't get in on this one because it was too close to PT, but still, again, when there's a discrepancy between what I actually did and what I did with you guys, on top of the frustration of me missing that trade for a complete BS reason that I shouldn't have missed, I was feeling the urge to want to hop in shorts anyways here. Um, but it was imperfect psychology, so I prevented myself from doing so. And of course, it continued down. So that's kind of the second trade that I knew was going to happen that I didn't hop into, that I really couldn't hop into. But that one wasn't so bad. I don't really count that one as one of the trades I missed out on. So, anyways, we bounced. And yeah, that didn't really count as a trade that I missed out on. We bounced and was now kind of waiting on a trade. And by this point, I'm starting to be bearish on the NASDAQ for this nearest pivot down here. We invalidated most of this massive run. Statistically speaking, I'm bearish for this pivot down here, but we have a closer one here, which is this one. And that's looking pretty damn good, but now it's like, oh man, ES is on. I usually, have a rule that says don't take continuation trades on pivots. ES is on a major pivot. NQ's tried bouncing out of demand, making lower lows. I was unable to really enter shorts with a clear state of mind. So I just kind of sat back, waited. It's fine, whatever. We just made a lower low with a beautiful bounce, and on this candle, I said, okay, we just got a volume spike in demand. NQ made a lower low in demand, and we got a reversal candle. This looks pretty good. If this candle invalidates, I'll hop in, but really I'm looking for a higher high first. This is very likely to get a higher high, especially that because it just made a lower low. It's even rare that I would enter shorts after it made a lower low like this, but the trend is so bearish, it's hard not to. Plus NQ's weaker now, right? So I'm looking for the higher high, and this candle happens, barely misses the higher high, caught me completely off guard because it missed it. It's very rare. When we're talking 95% of the time, it will get that higher high. And of course, I can't enter the candle until the last 10 seconds. Well, the last 10 seconds happened, and that candle kind of dumped, and I hesitated a little bit. So I was going to place my order, but then the next candle opened up and dumped under low of day. So I missed out on this short as well. So this is the second trade that I missed out on today that I called out, but because it happened at the perfect timing and missed this PT by just a small amount, it just happened the way it did, it caught me off guard and I missed out on it. And it's possibly because my psychology wasn't completely flawless. I don't know if I would have entered that trade with flawless psychology anyways. But this didn't help. This didn't take away fuel from the fire. This kind of just added it in there. And of course I said, it's probably going to hit the damn PT, and I was really annoyed. Of course, just like I said it would, it hit the PT. And I said, you know what? Give me any bounce and I'll enter short, because I'm still bearish for these blue lines down here. Verbatim what I told you guys. I'm still bearish for these blue lines down here. However, ES is still stronger than the NASDAQ. We did miss this high. If we can invalidate most of this bounce, I would love to take a long to this high, and that way I can take a short back down. Looks pretty good. Well, ES flipped way stronger than NQ. Bounced out of a 1 hour demand. NQ did get a fairly big volume spike indicating potential reversal. This doesn't look like a reversal candle in itself. But you know what? It was pretty good on the NASDAQ. I mean, it was so much stronger than the NASDAQ. Yeah, I took this trade. It's fine. That's the trade I took. Pretty tight stop loss. And I joked and said, all right, here, finally, the first trade that I'm going to be able to enter in front of you Discord people. This is a damn good hypothesis. I mean, this is a great trade. Of course, it stops out. Did that help the psychology? No. Good stop loss, though? Yes, accepted it. Okay, cool. Well, now NQ's dumping below that pivot, and this is where I said, all right, well, I'm bearish. And you know what? Looking back on it, I really could have entered shorts right here on the NASDAQ because ES invalidated this entire bounce. NQ was weaker. I could, according to my analysis, get in shorts here. And I drew this trade out. I said, you could enter. That heavy demand is kind of a problem, though. I think it's fairly likely to bounce out of that heavy demand. Not reverse, but bounce. Um, but you guys know me. I don't reverse my trades. If I just get done stopping out of a long, if I just get done stopping out of a trade, I don't expose myself to stopping out of another trade immediately after. You don't want to stop out at two of your. I'm allowed to take 8 trades in a day, or over the 2 hour session I'm in futures. I don't want to stop out of a quarter of those in 4 minutes, right? When we're in the session for at least 120 minutes, doesn't make sense, right? Um, so for psychological reasons and because of that rule, I sat out. Now I was hoping for a bounce so I can get in. Started getting a bounce, and I said right here, right as this selling wick started forming, I told you guys I honestly really want to get in shorts on this green candle. I really wanted to. Like I'm telling you guys, not only did I tell you guys I really wanted to, I genuinely was like itching for the sell button. And the reason why is because I said I knew that it's pretty damn likely that the next candle won't only open red, but to my unfortunate luck, will dump under low of day. However, I don't enter shorts at low of day, man. And with ES just now sweeping lower lows, technically in demand and trying to bounce out of it, and this is technically a bullish engulfing on NQ. Yeah, of course, I really want to participate in shorts and make money, but if I enter this trade and I end up stopping out of it, well, I'll ask you guys. If you guys enter this trade right now and you end up stopping out of it, what will you think to yourself when you review this trade? For me, it would be like, why the hell are you entering shorts at low of day right when it starts bouncing, right? Especially when ES is like just swept a lower low. So for that reason, it kind of caused me to hesitate because it's very far outside of the usual way I trade. And keep in mind, I was pretty risk averse because my psychology was no longer flawless, right? So I only wanted to take trades that I was 100% willing to lose money on. And the way this entry was set up, I would have been 100% willing to spend money to find out if this trade's going to work out if it did something like this. But I wasn't willing to enter shorts here because if it went up, I would have slapped myself in the head for entering there. When I review that trade and it did that, I'll be like, why would I enter there? I mean, it just swept low of day, it's bouncing, you know? So very out of the normal, but I really wanted to enter low of day because I said if the next candle is red, it's probably going to dump below low of day. Well, the next candle opened red, and I said, okay, please hold above low of day because that trade I can enter into. That's mini bearish consolidation. That's enough to trigger me into the trade. And that way, when I look back on that trade in my journal, it's a fine trade. Maybe it didn't work out, but it had enough there going for it, right? I wouldn't feel like I was chasing money back, right? I felt like I was chasing money back if I enter on the last candle. Well, of course, the next candle opened red and it freaking dumped. I'm like, gotta be shitty. I knew it. I called it too. I said, not that I knew for sure it was going to happen, but I knew it was such a high likelihood. That's why I really wanted to enter there, and I missed out. I missed out on that trade. And that was really frustrating for me too because I told everyone that entire time how bearish I was on NQ, minus this little trade here, which was completely warranted with a great stop loss. Yet here I am making no money on it, and I'm green by only one green trade today because this was a really big green trade and a really small loss. So I yet again missed out on this hypothesis. And of course, I said, you know, it would be a miracle if it bounces right now out of demand so I can enter, but it's probably not. Of course it didn't. So, missed out on that trade too. Very, very, very annoying. And it's not very likely I miss out on trades like that, but just kind of the way everything happened today, you know, the dominoes fell and they did not stop falling. Butterfly effect. Couldn't stop the snowball. So that's just the way it happened. Well, now look at this major volume on ES. I'm like, okay, NQ's on a major pivot. I am still kind of bearish for the next one, but doesn't need to get to the next one. That's a potential reversal signal on ES, is what I told you guys. And right here, I said that is a reversal signal. NQ is now putting in a potential bullish liquidity sweep on that pivot, and ES is bouncing out of extremely heavy demand with lower lows and a huge volume spike. That's a reversal setup. But in reality, guys, you guys know me with reversal trades. I mean, look at the size of this trend. I already lost money on a solid reversal trade once. This one was a bit better, but especially because I just lost money on a reversal trade, I didn't really want to enter. So I said, you know what? This would be a pretty fine entry here. This would be a pretty good entry up here. Like, I'd consider entering up here. Keep in mind, my psychology is hurting at the moment. But by this point, it'll invalidate pretty much a majority of the drop. You know, I have a solid pivot here. I'm able to get in, NQ liquidity sweep, all that stuff. Well, ES just kind of shoots up. And then it kind of flips weak on me. I'm like, you know, NQ's bouncing harder than ES. It's flipping kind of weak. Let me change this arrow right here so you guys can see that I missed this hypothesis. Flipping kind of weak on me. I'm going to wait. Now NQ's going down, but it looks fairly decent. In reality, I can warrant an entry here. But I was a little bit too hesitant. My psychology was a little bit too deteriorated, especially because I already lost money on a reversal trade. I just wasn't really able to pull the trigger. But looking back on it, I should have entered this trade right here. But I just kind of missed out on it. And by this point, it was a little bit too close for PT. And it ended up just kind of getting there. So this trade in specific, I drew out on my chart for you guys. Yet my psychology was deteriorated. I didn't have a great mindset, which, keep in mind, I'm so big on only trading in an elevated state of mind that when I'm not in an elevated state of mind, it's really hard for me to enter a trade, right? And this one, you know, if I didn't just lose money on a reversal trade, I would have been more open to taking it. But that's just kind of the way it worked out. So now, that's 4 hypotheses in a row that not only I called out, but I didn't enter, and all 4 of those hit PT flawlessly without a single pullback before doing so. Flawless. And I know stats. And if I have 6 hypotheses, I traded 2 of them. 1 out of those 6 was red. Kind of seems like I'm due for some red, right? So that hurts my psychology as well, because now I'm going to be like, well, shit. We just moved a ton. What happens after we move a ton in the morning? Consolidation, right? Well, tried to not let it get the best of me. And so missed out a ton, but now I'm bullish for NQ to get to this high. The exact same trade that I just called out on ES, I'm confirmed in on NQ. So I kind of put the bad psychology aside. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be confirmed in anyways. I'm gonna allow myself to take this trade. So I confirmed in here on this candle on NQ, and this was a good trade. This was a very good trade. I wanted to wait for a red candle. I finally got a red candle. I wanted to see how NQ reacted to the red candle. And, you know, it put in a potential reversal candle and immediately started invalidating it. And I really liked that at the moment it looked like NQ was stronger than ES. This red candle completely engulfed the body of this green candle, completely engulfed the body of the red one. Looked pretty good, so I entered here. This was the trade I was looking for. Nothing major. And as far as my stop loss, well, there's no good place to put a stop loss on this trade. That's the problem. Because even if it pulls back, I'm going to be leaning bullish for a cup and handle, or you can kind of see a sketchy little fractal inverse head and shoulders here, right? So there's no really good place to stop out of this trade, but for me, it's like, okay, what am I willing to stop out? Well, I'm willing to stop out minus $200. Right, I'm half size, 5 micros. You know, $200, that's a pretty decent risk to reward, pretty likely. You know, it can stop me out pretty much anywhere. Well, anyways, this trade goes by, and of course, NQ's weaker than ES. That obviously hurts my psychology because when ES is moving the right direction, NQ's not. Look at this. And then we get a reversal candle on the Nasdaq. I'm like, shit, that's kind of a reversal candle. That's good enough to bring me to my stop loss. And look how much of this green candle at 9:26 my time, the red candle invalidated versus ES. ES was clearly stronger, and this is frustrating because it hurts the probability of this trade. And keep in mind, I'm not really in the mood to take another loss because I've had nothing but great hypotheses. -1, which did end up playing out, 10 minutes later. I don't, every trade that I take in front of Discord today, I don't want to lose, right? Anyways, looked good a majority of this trade. I mean, was green most of the time, was putting in bullish consolidation below the pivot, was really good. Started looking pretty bad all of a sudden. Got my stop loss right there. Can you guys guess what it did after it got my stop loss? Just keep in mind, I said, all right, whatever, I'll accept the loss. If it continues down, I'm willing to take shorts to new low of day. However, if it goes back up, I'm going to be reconfirmed into the same trade. Now, if it starts chopping, that's obviously going to be an issue because I'm usually red when it chops. But of course, on top of my bad psychology today that I've had and the frustration that I had from the start of this futures session, me missing trades because stupid technical problems with OBS, stuff that I shouldn't even been messing with, and all that. Me missing out on all my good trades besides one, which I didn't even take in front of the Discord, so I felt like it didn't count. It sweeps my stop loss by like one single tick and rockets back up. I'm like, what is this BS, dude? So unlucky because I could have put my stop loss all the way down here and I could have swept it. There's no way to know where it's going to go on this specific setup, right? So, um, yeah, that was really unfortunate. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Well, I re-enter on this candle, same trade. I'm like, all right, I have a 3-strike and you're out rule. This one is a bit better stop loss, pretty much same average. And you know what? NQ was so, and here was, I'm going to go back real quick. What was extremely frustrating is that the entire time I was in this trade, NQ was so weak. Look how far ES got down. ES barely got to the low of the 926 candle. Here was the 926 candle on NQ. If NQ had the same strength ES did, it would have been at my PT before this pullback even happened. And if it wasn't, it would have only pulled back to roughly here. So that was very frustrating for me that NQ magically flipped extremely weak right after I entered. And then miraculously, the second I get out of the trade, it gets a huge green candle. It looks like it flipped strong because we just made a low right here. We get a huge green candle, way bigger than ES. And I'm like, okay, well, NQ is not super likely to continue being weak because it fell further than ES, sweeping more buy orders, right? So I hop back into the NASDAQ. Kind of forcing myself to have good psychology, even though I'm not feeling great. And stop loss here. That's how that went. Again, you cannot make this up, guys. The minute I entered the trade, NQ red candle, ES green candle, ES small red candle, only giving back half of the green candle, NQ massive red candle, giving back the entire red candle, gets my stop loss. Meanwhile, ES would have been at the same spot I entered. It's almost like magic that right when I'm in NQ, it flips super weak. Now, keep in mind, guys, this is low probability events here. This is rare that it happens. I might get scammed once or twice a day on strength and weakness flipping against me. But it's like I'm cursed at this point. Add it to the psychological deterioration. You know what happens after this? Are you shitting me? Like, this is making me frustrated even just going back through this in replay mode. So annoying. Now keep in mind, this would have been completely fine if all of this, oh, I forgot this arrow. Hang on. If all of this didn't happen. Hell, I probably would have been done trading, to be honest. It would have been such a bright green day. Um, but everything that's happened, that's hurt my psychology, and now my stop loss gets swept to the penny twice in a row. I'm like, you have to be freaking joking me. Well, so what I do is I end up entering again. I give it one more chance. But this time, I entered on ES. Because this time, ES is truly stronger than NQ at time of entry, right? And really, my PT is this NQ high. I'm like, all right, I'll give it another chance. I usually have a 3 strike and you're out rule. I don't think it's very likely NQ continues to compress because here's the compression formation that's happening on ES. Look how low that second oscillation got in relationship to the size of the run, right? This run invalidated this whole drop. This drop didn't even invalidate half this run, right? So clearly there's more buy side pressure than sell side. I think it's more likely to break to the upside. So I enter ES. And keep in mind, let's compare. If I entered NQ, I would have entered roughly here. Okay. Obviously the PT is not aligned, but let's align that. There you go. Stop loss would have been roughly here. Oh, look. Now NQ stronger than ES. So frustrating, guys. So damn annoying. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And you know what? I said, well, it's pretty rare that I'm in a long trade when there's such a clear rising wedge happening on ES, but here I am. And there I was, that long trade on ES during a rising wedge. But I was hopeful that when it broke to the downside, it was more of a temporary pullback. Well, ES flipped weak, and it got my stop loss. And even if I did take NQ, look what it would have got my stop loss by. Just a little bit. So that's now 3 losses in a row. And I took the risk. I decided, you know what? I'm going to try this one more time, then I'm done for the day. One more time, I'll try this trade. And then I am done. Okay. I gave NQ one more chance. Very likely trade. And stop loss. And I'm like, well, I'm out of here. See you guys later. So that was my day. I ended up red because that green trade was big and those red trades were fairly small. I'm red by 2 green trades today, 2 medium-sized green trades today. So I'm not super red. But man, my psychology was in the dumpster from the beginning, and it continued to get lit on fire. Not only because my stop losses only kept getting swept, but because every loss I take is fuel to the fire, not just because it's a loss and I'm losing money, right? But because I should have been so green today. I truly should have been so green today with the second hour of trading and how the second hour went, And the fact that today was directly the opposite. Let me ask you guys, type in chat. How many times over the last 2 months has a second hour of price action been pretty good to trade? Type in chat. How many days do you think? There's no right or wrong answer. I don't have them counted. But how many days? There's been like less than 5, right? And it was so frustrating that today was not only such good volatility during the second hour, we dumped all the way to demand. I should be in. We dumped all the way perfectly to my PT. I should have been in. We reversed perfectly on my PT to the pivot on ES, I should have been in. Very rarely over the last 2 months has the second hour of price action been a great time to trade. And this is one of those very few times. Like I can count the times on just two hands, less than two hands, like probably 6 or 7 times. And I completely missed all of it. Not only that, but I got stuck trading in compression. The worst time of day to be trading, I got stuck in when it all could have been avoidable if like the first domino didn't fall in the beginning and I was pretty much ready to trade. So yeah, it was just so freaking frustrating. Everything about today was like so freaking frustrating. I was so pissed off. Um, God damn, I was so frustrated. And you know what? Do you guys see a trade here? Type in chat. Do you guys see a trade here on the ES chart, for example, or the NQ chart? If so, what do you guys see? What trade can I get triggered into with the way I trade? Yeah, Bree, head and shoulders. Absolutely, yeah. I can totally get in by the head and shoulders here. 100%. Would I actually take it all the way to demand or low day? Maybe, but realistically, I'll probably just take it to the 61.8. This is a trade I can get triggered into. But my psychology was so freaking bad. I feel like whatever. My psychology is just so bad that I'm out. I can't trade anymore. PT probably, I mean, yeah, 1-to-1 is 6-to-1.8, but I mean, I could take it to demand. Looks like it would have possibly stopped me out. Maybe I can re-enter, or I can hop right back in and be able to capitalize on downside. I don't remember actually when it dropped perfectly, but yeah, I mean, I could have been confirmed into a trade here. Did it bounce off the 61.8? I don't know if I would have went all the way to demand or the 61.8. Yeah, I actually would have stopped out of the trade. So it looks like price action continued being bad for further. But anyways, guys, it was so freaking frustrating. So it looks like me stop trading when I did was good. I would have stopped out of that trade. It did kind of continue down, but not enough to get to a PT of mine. So at least we have that going for me, right? Because this is a solid trade here. I can get confirmed into this trade, but it looks like I would have ended up stopping out. It would have been another green to red trade here. And so that was good that I stopped. But today was so freaking frustrating that today was red. I was so frustrated. My psychology was like, I was fighting demons today. It was so bad. Everything was so bad. All my pet peeves, me losing a bunch of times in a row, so I don't really want to alert my next trade. All of it. Terrible. Especially on top of, like I said, very rarely has a second hour of trading been good to trade. And today I was able to do it. And my hypotheses were correct. I nearly flawlessly predicted what was going to happen for all but one of my hypotheses. And I didn't get any of it. And instead, I got sucked into trading this chop. Could I have avoided some of this chop? Sure. Was each trade pretty decent? Yeah, each trade was decent. But some of this chop was avoidable. But I was even more so pushed to enter. Not that the trades were bad, but I was kind of pushed to enter because I missed out on all those trades, right? But I wouldn't say any of the trades themselves were revenge trades or anything. It's just kind of the way the cookie crumbled. But what's pretty frustrating is what we're going to do right now. Let's just go back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to retrade the way today should have done. Should have been, could have been. All the above. And see what could have, could have happened if I was ready to trade futures by 8:30 my time, by the second hour of market open. Let's just kind of see what could have happened. And let's see what could have happened if I had good psychology. We're going to replay trade, and I'm going to have perfect psychology. You guys let me know if you think I'm taking a trade that I wouldn't naturally take, because sometimes that is a flaw in replay trading because you know what's going to happen. It's pretty easy just to choose the winning trade, right? So you guys let me know. First trade. This one. Where could I go? Well, I don't really have a PT near. I have demand. I could have potential fib. Let's draw fib. Uh, I actually drew this fib on my chart, by the way. I actually drew this fib on my chart, and next fib was 61.8. Can I go there? No. Can I go to 78.6? No, too far. So I can go to this pivot on ES, or I can just go to demand on NQ. Pretty likely I could just go to demand. Would I sell? Can I sell early? Sure. Now, whatever my P&L is, you can chop it in half because I'm trading half size. Half of one mini, 5 micros per account. Copy trading only 5 accounts at a time right now. Till my psychology gets a little better. Boom, first win. Now this trade, I don't have to assume because I did enter this trade. Risk of this trade, inverse head and shoulders on NQ. However, worth it. Way weaker than NQ. This is a decent trade to get into. One tick below this low, assuming it's not going to make a perfect double bottom, but I'm not going to do that because my PT was at the low. Oops. Messed up on this one. I got to go back. Reset my P&L. Sorry, guys. I'm going to do this real quick. I got to restart. I can't drag it wrong or else it'll screw me. Okay, first trade was this. Should have been. Something like that, right? Here we go. We bounce. We invalidate said bounce. I sell on ES. Stop loss will be that candle, right? PT, this low. Probably would have brought this stop just up a little bit more. That's a pretty good risk to reward. I did win that one. There's the pivot. ES stronger than NQ. NQ's getting that low. Even though I wanted to really bad, I would not have taken this short. It was too close to PT, even though I knew it was fairly likely to happen. We dipped down into demand. I would have taken this trade. I did take this trade here. I don't know if I had this one tick above or at it. I think I just had it at that pivot. It's much smaller trade there. Stopped out. No problem. Okay. Would I have entered NQ shorts here after stopping out? No. If I didn't just take that last long trade, yes, I can enter NQ shorts, but I have to be realistic. I am unwilling to stop out of a trade and then immediately alert a trade going the opposite direction after. That's embarrassing for me. It really is. You guys type in chat if that would be embarrassing for you. It's embarrassing for me to not only stop out of a trade, but then alert the opposite direction right as I stop out. That just indicates poor psychology, revenge trade. It's just not something that I do. I can't get in here. Even though if I didn't take that reversal trade, sure I can get in, but that reversal trade triggered me in first. I would not be in this trade. Could I be in here? Yeah, but ES was at this low. I don't really want to chase it. I need a bounce. Okay, there's the bounce. Cool. But again, ES is making lower lows. Sorry, I can't. I really wanted to. I more than likely really wanted to, not only because it was pretty likely to get down, but also because my psychology was flawed. If I had flawless psychology, even though I knew this was probably going to get down, I wouldn't have wanted to enter this trade so much because this is kind of outside my trading plan. We finally made a new low a day on ES. We're bouncing. Made a new low a day on NQ. We're bouncing. I can't enter here. Of course, would I be upset that I missed this trade? Yes, I would. Because I can enter this trade here. However, last 10 seconds of the candle, I need it to close, right? It closed way lower than that low. I can't enter. Okay, so I would have missed that trade probably no matter what. There's a potential reversal signal. Boom, there's a pivot. Would I have entered this trade? After just losing on a reversal trade, I don't think I would have right here. Even though it's signaling a reversal, I don't really want to take another loss. The trend is very strong. Yes, we're in demand, but part of demand confirmation is a trend break. Well, I don't really have a trend line to draw, so I mean, you could up here, but that's a bit too far away. Um, I would have entered where I said it was a good trade, which is when a majority of the drop invalidates. Not really right here. Here would have been my entry. Oh, sorry. Here's my entry. NQ making lower low with buying wicks. Looks like a small bull flag. I don't want to switch the time frames because I have a huge fear that it's going to ruin my P&L. But this is where I should have entered. This is where I had it drawn out. But poor psychology caused me to not enter for whatever reason. Trade should have been entered. I don't know if TP would have been here or one tick above. I assume it's probably just going to be there because ES doesn't move as much. And stop loss would have probably been somewhere right around here. I would have wanted to put it a bit under demand, but because if it tests demand and bounces, it could do that. But I think I would have my PT, my stop loss there. Um, Great trade, right? Now I have to think realistically. Okay, I just took profits on longs. What's going to be my want? Like, how much am I going to want to keep making money on longs? Well, not as much because I just made money on this uptrend. So I'm not going to have a very big urge to just hop right back into longs, right? Now, obviously, I'm still going to be bullish for this NQ high, but realistically speaking, would I be re-entering longs right now after I just sold my longs here? Probably not. Could I get into longs here? Yeah, I stand by me entering this trade originally, but I just took profits on longs. I would not be hopping right back in. Because why would I want to, in front of you guys, why would I want to expose myself to the possibility of wiping out the gains I just made out of greed to just keep making money? So for me to enter longs, I would have needed bullish consolidation. Chopping up, NQ's weaker than ES. Not a huge fan. Could have potentially entered here. I really could have. Would I have though? I don't know. NQ just put in that reversal candle. ES is stronger and at this high, and ES kind of looks like it's chopping up. Decent chance I would wait. Here I would enter though. Now it's a confirmed bull pennant. Stop loss would be a bit closer though, because my risk to reward isn't as good as it was with the trade I took. So realistically, my stop loss could be right here. But if it does come down to even here, I mean, I'm going to draw this trend line, this bottom trend line, how beautiful it is. Yeah, I mean, I could go 1-to-1 and let this bear pennant fully invalidate. But for me, with how perfect that trend line is, type in chat if you guys agree. I assume it's probably going to do that if we drop to here again. I don't think this trend line is going to hold another test. Look how many candles are bouncing out of it. So there's a very good chance my stop loss would have been really close right here. Sometimes, depending on my mood, I'll put it a little bit further away. But this is where I'd put it because I'd assume it's probably going to break the trend line if it comes back down. Okay, broke the trend line. Can I get back in? Nope. Yes, I can get back in. Would I have got back into NQ instead of ES? Probably. Right? Probably would have. NQ looks like it made back its strength. I don't really change anything there. I forgot how many trades that is. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my sixth trade, so I'd be thinking about wrapping it up right now. Plus, I'm currently up $1,300 divided by 2, $700, which is a lot because I'm trading on multiple PA accounts. So really, I'd be up $3,500 on the day. Wouldn't have a huge urge to continue trading at this point. I just wouldn't. Same PT. Stop loss here. Same one. Yeah, maybe I could have put it a little bit lower, but chances are if it invalidates that huge red candle, it's going to make a lower low. So I stand by where I put it initially. Would have perfectly swept my stop. Popped up. Would I have given it one more try? I probably would have. I don't know. Wait, yes. I forgot about the perfect trend line that was also here. Yeah, I would give it one more try. 3 strikes and you're out, right? For me. And stop loss roughly pretty much right there. Green to red trade. That would have been my day. Would I have lost during that compression? Sure, probably. Is there a chance that I could have stopped early? Of course. But realistically, would have still been a fairly green day. A solid medium green day. Would have been very bright green. Would have gave back some profits. That would have been that. And I wouldn't have tried again on that setup because I'm not willing to give back any more gains. I've at that point I would have given back about 30% of my gains, a little more like 35% of my gains. Not willing to spend any more money on this price action right here. That's fine. I would have moved on. So that's really how today could have and should have went. But it did the opposite and I ended up being red and I didn't get to attack any of the hypotheses that actually played out beautifully. And not only is that frustrating for me as far as my trading, but as far as the quality of the stream, it's just shitty. It's shitty all around for everyone. So yeah, super, super, super frustrating day. And yeah, one of those rare days that absolutely smokes my psychology. And that's what it takes. And as you continue reinforcing psychology, as you continue developing as a trader, it's going to take crazier and crazier circumstances to be able to get through your psychological barrier and start making you feel the need to go on tilt and not accept your outcomes. And for me, it was a combination of missing out on that trade and feeling hyper rushed during that first trade where I had to miss out, and then rushed during the actual trade to where I couldn't alert it, and then first trade that I alerted both on YouTube and Discord was a loss, and then missing out on 3 more phenomenal hypotheses, all for completely different reasons after that, and then getting stuck in compression where my stop loss perfectly got swept 3 times in a row. All of that was enough to freaking grind my gears, ruffle my feathers. But regardless, that was my day. That's kind of just what happens sometimes. And the best you can do is just accept it, move on, document it. Looking back on the trades that I took, I don't think they were bad. Type in chat, what do you guys think about the trades that I actually did end up taking? I don't think they were bad at all. I just think it's so shitty that besides the first trade, I pretty much only took the ones that didn't play out, and the fantastic ones I missed for one reason or another. And not only did these trades not play out, but I mean, guys, look how frustrating this is. My original it's so everything about this, guys, is so freaking frustrating. Look at this. If I enter here like I did, my original stop loss was right around here. I moved my stop loss up to here. Was I wrong to move it up? No. But look what would have happened if I didn't move my stop loss up. Could it have still got swept eventually? Yes. Would I have sat in that trade that long? I don't know. But I would have avoided all of the bad price action and possibly and it did end up going up back up, and possibly only took 1 loss instead of 4 or 3, whatever I took, right? So that was another layer of frustration as well. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. Sometimes you just get your ass kicked, and, whether it's your fault or the market's fault, sometimes that just happens. And the best thing you can do is what we're doing right now. Review it, look at what you could have done, look at what you did, compare the two. Is what you could have done way better than what you did? If so, why? What caused that? Was it bad psychology? Was it just a little bit of luck? What was it? And when you identify all of that, and you identify what it was, you're going to be more self-aware, Maybe you'll be able to instate some rules to help you circumnavigate that next time. Um, but just you becoming more aware of what some of your triggers are helps you deal with them quite a bit. So the most productive thing you guys can do when you have days like today for my future session is this right here. This is a perfect example of what to do. But as far and going back to what I said in the beginning of this session, as far as the hesitancy to alert, um, I'm just gonna do my best to work on it. It's just there, you know. I'm trying to work on it as much as I can, studying psychology and whatnot. But that kind of psychology isn't really something I can fix by studying more Mark Douglas or studying more of my lessons, or really, it's something pretty unique to really just me. So obviously it's harder to deal with because it's more unique. But that's something that's my biggest flaw, and that's what I'm working on the most. And you guys, I urge you guys, go in your journal. If you're not journaling, start that. Don't be lazy. Um, but figure out what your biggest flaw is. What's hindering your success? What's opening that door? What's exposing you? What circumstances, what mindset, what triggers expose you to the possibility of blowing your accounts or losing your psychology or getting emotional? For me, it's that opening right there. A potential gap between what I say I do and what I actually end up doing, and then how that causes me to end up trading for money afterwards if it goes red instead of green. Um, so all of you guys do that, and you'll continue getting better if you can knock out, or if you can identify one minor flaw every single week, and once every other week test out, or every single week identify one psychological flaw you have or one TA flaw your strategy has, and once a week not solve it, but try out a hypothesis that could solve it. Like, you have an idea of something that can solve it, try that for a week to apply it. If you do that 52 times over every single week of the year, you're going to be a phenomenal trader, right? And not only that, but now your purpose of trading is different. You're not trading for money anymore. You're trading for self-growth. You're trading to be correct. You're working on yourself. Your purpose of trading is to grow yourself, grow your discipline, grow your strategy. And as a result of that, money will follow. But like I always say, when you chase money, it's going to run away. So don't do that. Figure out a different purpose for trading other than trying to get your first payout, trying to get your fifth payout, trying to withdraw from your options portfolio. It's not going to work. You need to have a deeper purpose until your discipline and your good habits is reinforced enough to where you're able to have whatever purpose you want and it doesn't affect your trading. But for most of you guys now, you need a purpose that doesn't involve P&L. But all right, with that being said, that was an extremely long session. Does anyone have any questions whatsoever on anything that I talked about in this future session? Type in chat. Did you guys enjoy this? Hopefully you did. I did not. Like, I felt so angry just going back through it. All those emotions from this morning just flooded back. Man, I can spend 3 hours just ranting about how upset I am about this morning. And of course, it's salt to the wound when I do it in front of you guys, right? And then it's almost like everyone has a bad time as a result. It's just freaking terrible. It's just terrible. But hopefully it was beneficial for you all. And I'm gonna post this, and not only am I going to post this, but I'm gonna ping pretty much everyone to watch it, because I feel like this is one of those futures reviews that's pretty beneficial to watch psychologically, and discover some avenues of self improvement. All right, sweet. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the review. That's awesome. Thank you guys for showing up tonight. It means a lot, of course. And I'll let you guys know when this stuff's posted on YouTube. And also, the psych course channel will be updated tomorrow. Hopefully, tomorrow's feature session is way better. I know I'm going to do a big psych reset later tonight and early tomorrow morning. So none of this negative emotions carries into tomorrow. Complete reset. If you don't know how to do a psychological reset, that lesson's in the psych course. But now my job is to make sure none of this carries over into tomorrow, which means I'm no less willing to accept loss because of the bad time I had today. And you guys know, if you have a terrible day on Monday, when Tuesday rolls around, you're going to be less willing to have a terrible day because it's going to be 2 in a row and you don't want that, right? Which is the opposite of a probabilistic mindset, right? So that's going to be my job. Not letting any of this carry into tomorrow, and tomorrow's a fresh day. I'm trading the exact same tomorrow with the exact same mindset that I would have if today was an extremely profitable day. But all right, I'll let you guys go. You guys have a blessed rest of your night. Ping me in chat or DM me if you guys need anything. And any of you guys on YouTube, leave a comment or DM me on Discord if this review was beneficial. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for hopefully a better day.